Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to my channel. Let me do this. Hippie soul in the building. So now look, guys. Man, it's so hot. It's super hot. Like I've never experienced this kind of heat in such a long time. I'm not even sure that if I've ever experienced this kind of heat in my life. So anyway, on this video, man, like this heat is becoming the problem because like it shows that the global warming thing is real, you feel me? But let's not dive into that. So on this video I want to talk about the three bodies that we have, right? So as we know, we have like the mental body. Let me put it in a sequence that it's supposed to be put in, you understand? So we have the mental body, we have the spiritual body, right, which is that body that we cannot see with our eyes, okay? And then we have the mental body, which is that body that we can see with our imagination, you understand? And then we have the third body, which is the physical body, right, which is that which we can see with our eyes, that is external, you understand? Anything that is external that we can perceive with our eyes only reflects us in our truest nature. So if I'm looking at the planets outside, they basically resemble the chakra system that I have within me, you understand? So it's like I'm a star and all of these other bodies are circulating around me, you understand, to protect me, to give me guidance, to do all of that shit, you know. So now when it comes to the spiritual body, it's unique because it's created by different spaces with different state of beings, you understand? So the way it's so subconscious on this level, the state of being that I created to serve, like it's not even about serving, but the state of being that I created to cater this life, this consciousness for myself, is the state of being that is created by two spaces who resonate with this idea, you understand? So my state of being will not be the same as your state of being, and whatever that you do to put yourself in your state of being might be the opposite of what I do to put myself in my state of being, you understand? So that shows that there's no wrong or there's no right when it comes to our spiritual nature. So now when we develop, so let me say the spiritual body is like the space that we go into, you understand? That's the spiritual body. We are spirits. Like I'm starting to think that we are not even spirit, guys. The way I dove deep into this shit, man, I'm starting to think that we are not even spirits. Like we are spiritual beings in our first birth, you understand? When we are first born, we become spiritual beings, we become spirits, and then we become mental beings, you understand? As in, like, we become subconscious, you know, we become part of a program, so that we become part of a space or part of a program. Like, you can explain this spiritual nature in using so many things. You can use a computer, you can use bubbles, you understand? Like bubbles, you know how bubbles form. We form exactly like bubbles, like someone putting that thing inside of a liquid foam solution and then blowing the bubbles. Have you seen kids doing that? That's how we do, that's how we create this universe in the first place. That's how we created ourselves in the first place. You understand? Using these elements, air, fire, but in sequence. You understand? As in like fire, and then we have water, and then we have air, and then we have earth. You understand? So we created light. That's why in the Bible they even say, "Let there be light." As in like, let there be the first creation. The first body, the first mental body, which is fire. So it's not even fire, but we created our first body using these elements. You understand? So when we create fire like this, so like I'll drop a video on how these elements actually ended up being what we see as life today. You understand? So now I'm talking about the mental body. So the mental body is more like planets. You understand? The way planets move and shift and do things on like it's on a subconscious level. How planets do things, shift and do their thing. Like you might think that these planets like are working, they are being controlled by a god or something, but not at all, guys. The planets works like your subconscious mind. They are not being controlled, they are controlling themselves according to their state of being. They are there according to their state of being. So each and every planet, wherever it is, as spirits, when we create this, we create it according to our state of being, so that we can move from state of being to another. We can't stay in one state of being. You understand? So when you like I dropped the video in incarnation. So like when you incarnate, you will choose the state of being that you got left off in, so that you can create your whole constellation or solar system or whatever you wanna call it, universe. You understand? So that, like, think about it, guys. Like, there's nothing that can create something out of nothing. You understand? So it had to be something that creates nothing, that creates what we see as nothing, so that that nothing can create itself to be something. You understand? So we use these elements, that the first spirit, the first parameter, like what we call God is the overall space that carries the spaces that is us. You understand? The spirits that carry the spaces. So like yeah, guys. Now done with the mental bodies. I hope you understand what I mean by the mental bodies. Anything that is operating on a subconscious level, that we see operating on a subconscious level, is the mental body. You understand? Because your mental body as well, look at your subconscious. You don't control your subconscious. It knows what it has to do for you to stay in this experience, and it knows for how long you can or you should keep up with each and every phase of this experience, this overall experience, in the very same way that God is the overall perimeter, and his subconscious knows how much or how many state of beings it's going to take for the perimeter to fill up, and how to deal with each phase of this perimeter. You understand? That's where governments and governing bodies come from. The fact that there is a governing body, God creates these governing bodies according to their state of beings. You understand? To say, okay, this state of being is going to be governed by this body, which is more advanced in this state of being. You understand? But that's why I'm saying there's no negative, there's no positive. It's just that there are low state of beings and there are low level, which we can call demigods, like devils. Like, you see, like, I don't even want to use the S word, but the luciferic energies. You understand? Those energy levels that control people, that make people kill each other, do bad things and stuff like that, they are being governed. That's why you can attract things that you are not in part, like that you don't give your attention to. So once you give your attention, once you start paying much attention into the circumstances that lead people to kill themselves or to kill each other, then you're going to fall into that experience, because in the spiritual world, that's what you're navigating towards as a space. You are taking your bubble and moving with it. Like you're a spirit, you are taking the bubble and moving, like in a very same way a sperm cell. When you look at a sperm cell, it's in a bubble. You might think that, okay, a sperm cell is a snake-like thing, but it's encapsulated inside of a space that it uses to move through other spaces to lower and higher dimensions or levels of reality, or whatever you want to call it, man. So like now we have these mental bodies, right, which are the subconscious bodies, which you cannot even at this level tell how they work, how they form, how they, like, you can tell how they form, but you cannot record anything that happens on that level when you are at this level. You understand? Because, right, man, what the fuck is wrong with this shit, man? Who is you, man? Get the fuck out of my place, man, nigga. The fuck is wrong with this fucking ants and like flies doing all of this shit, man? You trying to get some information? You trying to feed off my energy? The fuck is wrong with this? So like, yeah, guys, creating these energy, see what I'm talking about, man? So like after we create these mental bodies, like I'm living the mental body, like you I'm sure at this point you can construct how the mental body works, because like there are spirits around here who don't want me to go deep into that topic. Anyway, moving into the energy body, it's not the last body that we create. From this energy body we get, how can I, like, the energy body is what feeds the spirit, you understand? It's the yang, and the spiritual nature is the yin, right? So if you were to like stop our creation at the mental body level, we wouldn't be having this experience, this human experience, you understand? So we wouldn't be having gods on a lower scale. We wouldn't be having gods, like reflections of God. We wouldn't even be having reflections of God. So we had to pass through the mental realms to, in a sense, to go into experience ourselves into the physical realm. You understand? Into the energy realm. So the spiritual realm is the yin and the energy realm is the yang. You understand? What occurs on the spiritual level has an effect on what occurs on the energy level, and what occurs on the energy level has a direct effect on what happens on the spiritual level. You understand? But how you find balance between these two, that's why even when you draw the yin and yang sign, you always draw a line between. You know, the mind will always separate the spirit from the energy, the spirit from the nothing, the matter from the no matter. You understand? That's the mental. The mental. Like, you should also learn to break words. You understand? Now, I'll just drop a video on what I mean by breaking words, because that's what we do as spirit. We break words. We break, if I can call it sigils, sounds. We break sounds into something. Like, how we do it on this level is nothing, guys. It's complete nothing. Even like the birds and animals, they show us how we properly have to do it, like communicating using thousands of words just to say, just to put an idea into a perspective. Like, it's heavy, it's a lot of work. Birds just do two chirps and they know what they gotta do for the whole day. Like, two chirps and they know that we gotta fly there and there, to the west, to the east, by just chip 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 chip, you know. Like, that's how it goes. That's why they say, like, it's not that animals have a lower consciousness, it's just that humans have a higher logic, you understand? So, but a lesser spirit, you understand? If I can, not even a lesser spirit, but we have, you see, humans are like a one-man soldier. a one-man army. You understand? So being a one-man army, you have to depend on the mentality a lot than you can depend on the spiritual. You understand? So you have to understand that as a mentality, you have to depend on the energy level, before you can depend on the spiritual level. So your mental is what's going to direct you to see the energy signatures that carry the spiritual nature. You understand? So before I even dive deep into this and get lost or lose people along the way, let's go back into the energy body, right? I mentioned that the energy body is, I could say, it's the spiritual, is the physical representation of the spiritual world. You understand? It's the first body that we create as spirits to experience the physical world. You understand? So the physical body that we have is an energy body. Or if I can say, it generates energy for the spirit to continue moving through this experience. And once this energy cannot be created or received, because you can't create energy, but we receive it. You understand? We created it a long ago before, and now we are receiving it as a physical thing. You understand? We consistently receive it from this other side. So that's why we even use things like prayer. We feel like when we pray, we feel like we're getting something from the other side. And that's the energy that I'm talking about. We are receiving through our energy body. And it filters through our mental. So the spiritual world is just here with us. Like you see the very same line that separates the yin and the yang drawing. You see how thin it is. You can't even see that it's a line. That line that separates the yin and the yang is the mental body. And it's like a curtain, a very thin curtain. You can actually see through a thin curtain, but it's not as clear as it is when you lift off that veil or that curtain. So that's how these experiences are connected. Like that's how they are actually one thing. That's the proof that you're gonna get that this whole experience is one thing. Both the spiritual and the physical world, we are experiencing them inversely and directly in one moment. And every moment, a new idea or a new spirit is being born. You understand? So, you have to understand that even if you can lose this energy body, in the very same second that you lose this energy body, if your spirit resonated with this fleshly, physical energy body, then it's going to come into this energy body, right? But if it resonates with higher energy bodies, then it's going to jump even the fourth dimension and just go straight into the fifth, sixth dimension, which is humans that we call the Anunnakis, those higher beings, those which are taller, those which we find in the books, the history books of creation, those Anunnakis and whatever. That's where they live, in the sixth and fifth dimension. You understand? That's where they are being created, and that's where they experience reality. So we all have bodies when we get there, in the very same way that we have bodies in here. Like bodies are always going to be created in the very same way that spirit creates. Like it's a balance. It's always obviously going to be a balance, always going to be a balance. But what I think, so in closing, what I'm going to tell you in closing is that I don't think we have to create more bodies. You understand? I think as spirits, what we came here to do is to create just these 3 bodies. Maybe, 3 bodies, which is like, remember, spiritual, mental, energy bodies are just one body on the 3rd level dimension. So now we want to create another one on the 6th level, and then on the 9th level. When we get to the 9th level, we go back to spirit, which is 0, no thing, in our natural space, where we can correlate subconsciously and unconsciously You understand? Because when we create unconsciously, then we know what we gotta do. There are no distractions at that level. But when we reach the subconscious level, then there is a bit of things that we encounter that we probably don't need to create. Do you understand? Or errors that occur along the process. And when we reach this energy level, then it's packed so much that as a spirit you don't even know that you created this whole thing, because it's so much into your eyes, it's so much into your conscious. There's no thing as eyes. There's only the one eye, the third eye, which is what spirit is. Spirit is the third eye. It was moving in all these spaces, creating the flowers of life, which is, if I can say, what are the flowers of life, which are us. You understand? Each flower of life is a spirit creating its own chakras and experiences until it forms its entire experience and a tunnel with an exit and an entry. Understand? Like, once it enters into it, it has to find a way to come out, so that it must not be locked and trapped into this thing it has created. You understand? Like, man, I could say that we created this thing. I could say that God created this thing, but both of them are right. Both of them are correct. So I'm just breaking things down to the smallest degree that we can understand them. So, like, with that said, that's all I have for this video, man. I'll drop another, maybe part 2. You understand? If I have to. But either way, I'll just upload videos that I resonate with in my state of being, man. So yeah, see you on the next one, man.